This is the IFF TV podcast.
Hello, welcome to Irish Football Fan TV. I'm delighted to be joined by Republic of Ireland. I was going to say 21s, but you're just out of that bracket now. Republic of Ireland international to be, I would say, at this stage, and AIK winger Zack Elbouzedi. We're here in the Camden Deluxe Hotel. They've been kind enough to give us the location to film here today. So, as well as that, if any of you are going out over the Christmas or whatever, make sure to check out the Camden as well. It's in town. It's on Camden Street, and it's the biggest sports bar in Dublin, and I think in Ireland as well. But check them out. They do great food, great drinks, and it's a great location. So yeah, on to you, Zach. Firstly, thanks very much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, you're obviously off the back of a really good season, and we'll get to that in a sec. We had you on, I think it was August, because I ended up getting COVID, so it wasn't a good time, and I ended up missing out on the interview despite being in the background and so on. But for those, I suppose, who didn't really hear properly, we'll kind of just go through it as well, from your kind of early start to your career, your clubs, and how you kind of get to where you are now. So
I've always obviously loved football, so I was playing since I can remember, and yeah, I played for Shells, River Valley, and then Malahide growing up, and then obviously Malahide was sort of where I started getting noticed, started getting noticed and spotted, and then obviously ended up in West Brom for 3 years, and they were in the Premier League, so it's tough to break in when a club's in the Premier League. So yeah, I left there after 3 years, went to Inverness, signed for 2 years, but got a bad injury as soon as I signed there, so it didn't really work out, and I ended up leaving a year later, and then ended up in Waterford. Alan Reynolds was pretty proactive in getting me down there, and then that's sort of how my professional career sort of started. Had a good season there, and I loved being there. And yeah, that's how my career sort of started taking off. And then obviously after a season there, obviously got called up with the 21s at the time as well, so that was big. And then went to Lincoln again. Lincoln didn't really work out for whatever reason. Went on loan to Bolton, and we got promotion there. Again, it was tough enough being down there during COVID. That was living in a hotel and not being able to see family or anything, and just train and going back to the hotel. But no, I met some really good people down there, and obviously it was nice to win promotion. And then yeah, just ended up in AIK last July, and I've been there since.
Yeah, but just take you back to West Brom, because I know that you're good mates with Darragh O'Shea, who's obviously flying there now and stuff like that. And I think that just kind of goes to show, with like, you could have easily, when you came back to Waterford, you kind of down tools and be like, whatever. You came back, you had a really good season. I'd say every club in the League of Ireland were looking at you at that stage. You got to move back to England, as you said. But I suppose, looking at all of that, and you're kind of looking at where Darragh is, where you are now and stuff like that, I suppose you're probably grateful for the fact of the League of Ireland is somewhere there where you come back. It's like maybe a bit of a safety net to let you go back and play and express yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I have nothing but good words to say about the League of Ireland, because as I said, it's sort of when my career started to take off, and yeah, it's good for giving young players a chance. And I think you're seeing now a lot more young players coming through from that league. Obviously, you've seen Scalesy yesterday came from the league, and now he's winning Scottish Cups, and there's been others as well that have gone on to represent Ireland and have good careers. So I think it's great to have a league that is willing to give young players a chance, because as you said, like, everyone's journey is different. Like, not everyone can be a Darragh O'Shea that's going to go from the academy straight through to the first team. So it's important that we have somewhere for players that it doesn't work out over in England, for them to come back and be able to sort of just find their feet and learn their trade a little bit more. So I think that's brilliant for the league.
And just like, because you just kind of mentioned there, you mentioned the 21s and the players. Like, if you actually look, like it says Scalesy, Chiadozie Benny as well. He had a spell in the league and he's gone on, and now he's done really well in the national team, scored a couple of goals and stuff like that. He's flying at Rotherham as well. I just think it's we go back to that 21s tournament, the Toulon tournament, and how many of the players from that group have now gone on and represented at international, or at the senior international level. It's frightening, that bunch that came through. You know, I think it was so close to qualifying, and maybe if some players hadn't maybe got the call up I know you were captain for a spell of that. Were you captain for the whole thing, or just a spell? Sweden, was it?
The Sweden game when Jason got injured, I got to wear the armband, which was special. Yeah.
Yeah, because there was the one game that stood out to me. The one the Sweden game. There was 2 Sweden games that stood out to me.
Game against Halle.
Yeah, the 4-1, and then I think you scored in that game, didn't you, as well? Yeah, and they wore the dark green jersey. Yeah. Just didn't wear that much because of COVID.
Yeah,
didn't get worn as much.
That was a nice kit.
Yeah,
that was the only time we wore it, to be fair.
Yeah. It wasn't seen that as much at all throughout that kind of period. Obviously, we know why, but that night especially. But you just look at so many of those players, like you look Jason Knight, Leo Connor, the keepers, Queevy and Gavin, and Gavin again, RT Sports. I know this interview is about you, but if you think about just so many of them have just gone on since that Toulon tournament, yourself included.
If you look, I think there's over like 10 or 11 players from our squad that have been captain. I think there's more to come as well. Like, so it's unbelievable. I think if you look maybe a few years ago, a lot of people weren't getting the chance. But now if you go back to that 21s group, I've been part of Ireland groups since under 15s, and I played with some really good groups. Like, at 17s we qualified for the Euros, but that group was the best that I've ever played with. Like, it was just every time there was camps, you were looking forward to meeting up with the team, and Stephen had us all believing in ourselves. And yeah, it was just great to be a part of. And as you said, like, you see from the quality in the group that so many lads are getting the chance now to show it, not only with the international team, but now more are coming through and breaking through at their clubs and showing what they can do, which is great to see.
Yeah, I actually spoke to Aaron Connolly during that lockdown, and he did speak about how Stephen Kenny actually helped players' games. Like, even though despite it was just at international level, he would be ringing them up and helping them out with things. I think he's especially mentioned how he kind of helped Jason Malumbi get better on the ball.
Yeah.
Maybe he wasn't as good on the ball, but obviously his game probably at the time was more known for energy, tackling and stuff, maybe not his passing and stuff. And he said he kind of brought on his game. Like, I know Stephen had such a horrible time with COVID, and in my opinion he was probably the most unluckiest manager I've ever seen, definitely for Ireland anyway. And just everything, when we think we had a break, we just didn't get a break. And every time now we're kind of seeing the fruits of allowing players to come through. And you mentioned already that in previous years it probably wasn't seen, especially to have so many young players coming through, but there is so many talented players coming through at the moment. I mean, you've got to be looking, I suppose, if you can replicate the end of the season here in terms of form, you'd probably be eyeing that March window for, the friendlies, because Stephen did say just the other day at the Nations League draw, like, the reason why he brought in so many players was to have a look at them, because he's probably going to need rotation in the summer when the Nations League games are played,
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I've said in other interviews, like, it's my dream to play for the senior team. And I think obviously since Stephen's gone into the job, the last 5 or 6 months, I've not really been in a position that I could realistically get called up because I wasn't playing at my club. But now that I'm playing at a good level, and thankfully I'm playing well and playing week in, week out, I don't see any reason why I couldn't get called up. Obviously Stephen knows me from the 21s, and I did quite well for him. And I'm playing, as I said, I think I'm playing at a pretty good level, and I'm playing week in, week out, and I think I have some attributes that could help the team. But I try not to think about, although it's my dream, I try not to think about getting called up too much, because it's out of my control. All I can control is playing at my club and doing well, and then if the call up happens, it happens. But yeah, I'd love for it to happen, but we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where you specifically would just have to focus on, your own game, and then whatever that brings. Like I said, we had a great end to the season there, and you were contributing with assists, goals, and just getting talked about quite a lot in the media and stuff like that. The AIK fans, sorry, I'm struggling to say that there. The AIK fans seem to really have taken to you, and I think, like AIK, like Irish fans, they just like to see players who work hard and try to deliver things, and if it doesn't work out, you seem like the type of player, if you make a mistake or it doesn't work out, you'll keep trying to do the right thing. And I think that's all fans ask for from players, and I think that's probably why you settled in so well at AIK, and the fans seem to love them.
Yeah, definitely. Love you, sorry. Like any club I go to, I put in the work, and that's a given. I think it should be a given for any footballer, but for me it's I always give 100%. But yeah, when I first signed, the sporting director said to me before the first game, he said like, don't worry if you make a mistake, or if the game's not going well. What the supporters want to see from you is that you're working hard, and you're trying to help the team, and that's what I've been doing since I've been there. And to be fair, like, the support I've got has been unbelievable. Like, it's the best support I've ever had. The way they get behind the team is like I've never seen it before. And we actually ended up going unbeaten at home for the whole season, and that's mainly down to the support we get.
There wasn't always, like, sorry to cut you off, but there wasn't always like a full house in there. I remember there was a period where you were waiting to get the experience of the full house. Did you ever get the full house in the end?
Yeah,
or?
we played the derby game against Gordon. I think there was like over 45,000 people there, and it's like hostile. Like, it's mad. It's crazy. Like,
Pictures look deadly though.
Oh yeah, they have like the tifos, they have the flares, and it's just madness. But yeah, I got to experience that, which was nice. And then for the last game of the season, there was over 30,000 people there. So again, it was probably the most that I've played in front of as well. So it was good that I was able to sort of show myself that I can play in front of big crowds and perform in front of big crowds.
Yeah, and also you know we spoke over earlier the Lincoln spell and the Bolton spell probably wasn't the best in terms. I don't think you were playing too much first team and stuff like that. You have 20 appearances there. That's on transfer market, so you can tell me if that's right or wrong. 1 goal, 2 assists, but just I think the fact that you're playing regularly, you're starting regularly, you look like you're playing with a smile on your face. It's just starting to really show, and I still think there's a lot more levels for you to go up. I think you probably feel like that as well.
Yeah, definitely. The other day, somebody asked me what sort of like percent have I shown the supporters, and I said like I think 75% of what I can do, because I went over there with no pre-season or anything as well, and they're mid-season. So I think when I go back in January, hopefully I hit the ground running again, and I think they're going to see an even better me. But when you go back to obviously me not playing at Lincoln or Bolton, and you're saying I'm playing with a smile on my face, it's just because I feel like I have the belief of the manager, and the support, but all the coaching staff and the manager, they've been unbelievable with me since I arrived. Like, just again, like I said, if I make a mistake, I don't have to worry about it. They tell me to just go on, and I have the freedom to try things in the final third, which helps my game. But it's mainly just down to the belief of the manager and the coaching staff. Like, as a footballer, you can feel that, and it's nice to have.
There's also some very good players in your squad as well. You know, Seb Larsson, we know what he's done in the Premier League and stuff like that. And he's just one player out the top of my head. But how different is it? Like, the lifestyle, how different is... Go on, take a water there. How different is the lifestyle? How different is, I suppose, the level of playing? You've played in... What's it, League 1, League 2, League of Ireland. Yeah. Would you say the Swedish League now is the highest level you've played at so far?
People obviously have asked me what I think it compares to, whether it compares to like Championship or League 1, but obviously I've not played Championship, so I can't say. But I think it's definitely, from my experience, it's a step up from what I've done before. Like, as you said, you're playing with and against international players, like good international players as well. So yeah, I definitely think it's a step up, and it's a really competitive league as well. There's no easy games. So yeah, I'd say I can't really say what level it compares to, but I'd say it's a step up from what I've experienced.
Yeah, it's probably a next level up from the under 21s then as well. I suppose I'm just thinking of yourself and the end of the season there. You probably just didn't want the season to end at that stage, because you'd been hitting such good form, and maybe if there was 2 or 3 more games, you maybe would have ended up winning the league. You obviously lost the league on goal difference. What was the final day of the season like? Were you getting kind of mixed messages? I think you were playing at the same time.
Yeah, the exact same time. And before the game, the manager said to us not to worry about what's happening in the other game, but obviously it's in your mind a little bit. We went 2-0 down in the first 20 minutes, and then we got back to 2-2 before half time, and then we went 3-2 up, and the supporters were celebrating like crazy, like setting off flares. So I was thinking, in the other game, these Malmo must be losing, but then I think with a few minutes left, I looked at Seb Larsson, and he was down on his knees, so I walked over to him, and he's like, it's finished 0-0 there. So we sort of knew that it was over. But then actually our captain was retiring. He's like he's an AIK legend.
Yeah,
and
Philip O'Connor absolutely loves him. You know, your mate.
He's been on 99 goals, stuck on 99 goals, and in like the 94th minute he got his 100th goal
Class.
to finish on. So that sort of made it that everyone was
Made
happy.
up for it. Yeah,
was happy again. But yeah, it was a weird sort of experience because you don't know how to react, because it was, although we didn't win the league, it was a good season if you look back on it. I think last season they finished 9th in the table. When I joined, they were 6th in the table. So to lose the league on goal difference, although it hurts, if you look impartially, it's probably a good season, and it's something that we can build on towards next season.
Yeah, you look at AIK historically, especially in Sweden, and if anyone who maybe I would say a casual football fan, but still know the name AIK, it's just one of those clubs who are usually in Europe you'd look at, especially from Swedish point of view. So you're back, you've got the European football back, at least Europa Conference League. Yeah. So you must be looking forward now to getting in now. When you start back?
January 10th we're back in. The league doesn't start till April, but the way they do the cup over there is they play the cup before the season.
Okay.
So all March.
It's like a pre-season tournament almost.
Yeah, but instead of obviously like in England and that, the cup is sort of like the showpiece at the end of the season. They have it at the start of the season for some reason. So we'll have competitive games towards the end of February. So it'll be good, yeah.
Yeah, but that's also could be a good thing for you, because you mentioned hitting the ground running.
Yeah.
I mentioned that there could be games in March.
Exactly.
It's probably you're trying not to focus on that, but I think it could be a good thing to maybe finish on. I think Stephen, the fact now that he's been given the time as well, I might touch on that with you as well, just the fact that he's been given the extra time. Do you think that's now, give him the next campaign? That's what it seems like, or it looks like it's going to be happening. Do you see that as a positive thing going forward?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, like.
And what's he like as a manager then after that?
I think first of all, I'm a little bit biased obviously because I know him and I like him, but I think it's good that he's hopefully going to get the contract. I think, as you said, if you look at like his first year in the job, I don't think any Ireland managers had to deal with the things he's had to deal with in terms of COVID and player injuries. I don't think for any games up until maybe the last campaign he was able to pick like a same starting 11.
So I think the Serbia home game, that was kind of.
So if you look at that, like, I think the way they've come through it and they've kept positive look from the outside looking in and speaking to players in the camp, like it's always been a positive place to go, even when they were on the winless run. So yeah, I think it's good that he's hopefully going to get the time to keep building, because I think if you can see now that it's a exciting squad that he's trying to build and they're playing good football. So I think it's good that he has the friendlies and the Nation League campaign, and then hopefully the next campaign to build and show like how good he is as a manager, because obviously he showed that at 21s and he's starting to show it now with the senior team, and obviously he showed it at Dundalk.
I actually just look at the players. Whenever he brings someone in, they have an impact.
Yeah.
Every player he's brought in, they have had an impact.
Yeah.
And I go back to your point about at the start, like when I think about Matt O'Neill and Mick McCarthy not really giving too many players a chance until maybe they probably had to, because they were just in such good form. I think when you look at Stephen, there's so many players that have came in. Players he's brought in that maybe hadn't, from the shadows, maybe that hadn't been looked at. He's brought in other players. He's brought in players like Will Keane and all now. So there's players coming in making an impact all the time, and I think that shows his motivation as a manager.
Yeah, definitely. I think you asked me as well what he's like as a manager, but the biggest thing is his man management skills are so good. Like he makes you feel 10 feet tall. Like you're going out playing teams that normally maybe other Irish managers will be thinking that we can't win or that, but he makes you feel like you can beat anybody, and that's probably why players are coming in and making an impact. Like I know from my side, when I dislocated my shoulder in Toulon, and obviously then coming back from it, it was sort of tough to come back from. I wasn't getting into form, and then we had a camp. I think it was when we played Armenia at home and Sweden away, and obviously I'd been starting all the games before me shoulder, and I wasn't in the best of form, but I didn't start the Armenia game, but it was just he pulled me to the side and had a little chat with me and explained his decision and and said that I was still a big player for the team, and that I still had a big part to play in the campaign, and that sort of sums up like his man management, being able to do that and having the respect for his players to do that. Because I've had other managers that they'll drop you for and they won't give you reasoning or they won't speak to you. So that was just one instance in showing sort of his man management skills. Yeah, he makes you feel so good about yourself, and you feel, as I said, like you can beat anybody.
Yeah, it's funny, so many players that I spoke to that's played under him, whether it's been at Dundee or Ireland level or wherever, they all say the same thing.
Yeah.
Like you just said there, it was where you did feel 10 feet taller. You'd feel like the best player in the world going out onto a pitch. And so just some of that was got like I heard a rumour that based off the Sweden games that you played in, that's how you got your move. Is that true?
Yeah, basically, obviously the AIK manager now was the Sweden assistant at the time. And obviously when we played them twice, I had quite good games. So I think he sort of kept notice, and then he got the AIK job at the middle of last season when they were going through a bit of a tough time. And then I think this summer they were looking for like a new winger. So he spoke to the scout and said, I played against this fella for Ireland and he was good, just have a look at him. And I think they watched like 20 more of my games, and yeah, that's sort of how it happened, which is crazy. Like it makes you think a bit like it's fate, because obviously if he wasn't manager at that time or I wasn't in the 21s, I wouldn't be where I am now. But yeah, thankfully it all happened.
Yeah, I think that goes back to the earlier point of pathways, and everyone's is different. And I was saying this to a few people over in Hampden yesterday. It's about timing and luck, with a lot of things, and obviously that's case in point there with you.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's a lot of luck. I think it's about being in the right place at the right time, and all the cards falling into place at the right time. Like, not bringing on to it, but I seen something about Scales yesterday. Like, he was meant to go to Bristol Rovers, and obviously that all fell through, and then he ended up going to Shamrock Rovers, and now he's playing in Celtic, winning cup. So it just shows that
I'm playing Europa League.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and in the Ireland squad, and who knows, if you had went to Bristol Rovers at that time, you don't know where you'd end up. So I think it shows that you need a lot of luck in football, but you also need to work hard. Like, not going back to Scales again, but he could have, after that didn't happen, he could have put his head down and stopped working hard. But in football you're always going to have like setbacks, and I've had a lot as well in my career with injuries and managers not playing me. But one man's opinion shouldn't change how you feel about yourself. You just have to keep working hard and having that clear focus in your mind on the goal that you want to achieve and where you want to end up.
Absolutely. Well, I think we'll end it on that note. It's great to see you flying. It's great to see you back enjoying yourself, and I hope that now when you get back in January after the Christmas break, it's great that you're back for Christmas as well with the family. I'm sure after you spoke about being away in England, not being able to see them, living in a hotel, you're over in Sweden, you probably can't see them as much there, so it's great that you're back till whenever in January.
Your mom's happy, and I'm
Well, that's the main thing. But listen, let us know your thoughts in the comments on Zack's journey so far, and if you're not following him already, make sure to check him out, Zack_Elbow11 on Twitter and Instagram. I think that's both of them, but we can put it on the screen there. Huge thanks to the guys at the Camden Deluxe in Camden Street for allowing us to film here. Don't forget to like the video, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll speak to you all soon. Thanks for watching.
Cheers.